As a psychologist, a chartered psychologist, I'm sure a lot of people come up to you to ask you for references, and I'm just assuming that a lot of Christians prefer Christian counselors.
Well, yes and no. I think I've come across Christians who don't prefer to be referred to Christian counselors, which is also a surprise to me. You know, and so I got to sort of ask some of these individuals, why not Christian counselors? You're a Christian, right? Don't get me wrong, I think there's a lot of Christians who go for Christian counselors. They do want to have Christian clinicians, Christian counselors, you know, so that, you know, these individuals who are counseling them would have a similar faith background to them, understandably. Yeah. But for those individuals who specifically told me, please do not refer me to Christian counselors, I think they had a negative experience with Christian counselors before. And you know, they seek counsel so that they could clarify some of the wrestling that they have. Instead, I think they were made to feel worse. They feel very judged, and they feel as if that they have done, you know, severe sins, which make them feel very guilty, and some of them experience shame. So because of that, they find it very, very difficult to continue talking about the subject matter with Christian counselors. And of course, this is a generalization, but it brings out a very important point that, you know, when people look for counsel, they are looking for an individual with an empathetic ear and also a safe space to be themselves and to express, you know, their distress in a way that they can understand. So this is what I gathered from individuals who specifically asked me not to give them Christian counselors. Which is a surprise and also a learning point for me.
Like, why do you think that happens? Like, at which part of the process of counseling do you think people feel that guilt and shame?
Yeah, I think for these individuals that I talk to, they have a situation where they find themselves in, and they do want to get out of it. So that's why they ask for counsel. And what they're seeking for is somebody who could maybe help them process their thoughts as they verbalize their thoughts. And instead, what they got is a morality lesson, if you like. You know, is again the do's and don'ts, a list of commands, you know, which I think these individuals already are in a know. They know what is right, they know what is wrong, they know what is the moral, you know, the moral situation that they're in. What they need is not a moral compass. They have that already. They just wanted somebody to help them process what they're experiencing and how to move on, how to wrestle through these difficult moments.
So, on one hand, people need space to be listened to, as you said, you know, that's what people need to process things. But I think on the other hand, there is, I mean, people who are not experiencing it might feel this sense of discomfort of where is this going to lead? I mean, is there a need to balance or bring that something up eventually? Or is there no place for particular stands to take place at all?
Oh, I think there's definitely a place for a stand. You know, I think that in any conversation, in anything that we discuss, we all have a stand. The reason being is that, you know, having a stand literally tell us that, you know, we know what we're doing, and that, you know, we know where we stand is something comforting to have. And it's not just taking a stand that's important in terms of, you know, where we are, but it tells us who we are you know, the so-called existential question, you know, so taking a stand actually reflect to ourselves who we are, you know, clarifying our identity. So it is important to take a stand. If not, we would feel very uncomfortable about, you know, what is our view on certain issues. So that is something very, very important, and I think everybody should have a stand. But it's the timing as to when we convey the stand, especially in situation where you know, we have someone who's distressed talking to us about certain things that they are going through and their confusions and so on. That I think the first thing that we do is not to convey a certain stand, even if the situation that you know, the person is in is not moral, for example. You know, I don't think that we should be so quick in conveying our stand. That's not the first thing that we ought to do in situation of counseling, for example. I think the first thing that we need to do is to give that listening ear, to convey our empathy, that we could actually take perspective, we could take their perspective, and not have any judgment or value judgment on it at all. It's just providing the person a safe space that, hey, you know, I'm listening, tell me what you're wrestling with. And I think that that should be the first thing that we do. You know, it's just to let the person know that, hey, I'm here with you, all right? And also to gather more information as to why is this person in this situation? So what happened before, and what did this person do about it, you know? So listening to their story is very, very important. Gathering enough information before we convey our stand, or before we communicate that stand with them.
So what are the worst things, especially in a situation where someone is walking with someone who's figuring out their sexual identity or orientation? What are some of the worst things that you've heard people say?
With individuals who do, you know, who have told individuals about their sexual identity crisis, things like, let me pray for you, you know, God would heal you, you know, our
pray
God
the gay away.
Yes, you know, our God is a mighty God, I'm sure He will heal you. So it gives this individual a sense that he's something to be fixed, that something is definitely wrong with him, and that something is already there. And you know, it's not a nice feeling when let's say, you know, you share certain things with somebody, and you know, the person say immediately, let me pray for healing for you. So the connotation is that something is wrong with me, something is amiss. So what is wrong with me? God, why do you make me this way? Right? That I actually need, you know, prayer of healing, prayer of transformation. And why is everybody, you know, saying that I need this change, so to speak? So although I know that Christians have very, very good intention, I'm not saying that that you know, we don't have good intention when we say all these things. But I'm just asking that we be a little bit more mindful about how our good intention is affecting the individuals that we talk to.
Yeah, because I think people are inviting us into their sacred space. It's a personal space, right, that we generally respect. I mean, if I'm inviting you into my home, or I'm telling you, I'm in a position where I'm vulnerable with who I am, with my identity. And I think to have someone just come and, you know, give a statement or a stand that sort of clamps it down, it shuts conversation, and it can feel a sense of being violated, in a sense.
Yes, definitely a violation. You know, it's as if that, you know, you don't really want to hear what this person's experience is. You just want to make your point. You know, I think that is one of the unfortunate consequence of making a stand at the wrong time. We talked about making a stand previously, so I think that, you know, we have to be mindful that our stand is a perspective that we take, and it's not necessarily a perspective that the person who's sharing with us, it's not necessary that he or she doesn't take our stand. It's just that he or she is wrestling with maintaining a stand. Is that bit that I think these individuals are sharing with us about, and is in need of somebody to walk alongside him or her. Right? So I think that, you know, we ought to give them that safe space to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that's all for our first clip. Indeed, as Dr. Hera was sharing, many a times out of good intentions, we come and we feel that we need to make a stand or make a position. But in fact, that act itself, while being well-intentioned, could alienate others or isolate others from us when they feel that their personal space have been violated. And I think it's good to have Dr. Hera with us to share with us on how then to journey with, or even and to understand what people are actually going through such a crisis. And so to be the first to see our clips, subscribe to us by clicking on the subscribe button below. Share your thoughts with us by commenting below as well, or you have a question for Dr. Hera, send it over to hosts@safespace.my.